Hey there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back. I'm your host, Patsun, and today we're gonna be taking a look at r/divorce, where a cheating wife now regrets her stupid decision. Let's begin. I am on the brink of divorcing my kind and perfect wife, but nobody sees what's happening at the house, so they all blame me for being a terrible person. Posted by Reddit user Cool Breadfruit.
I am not sure where to put this or if anyone else can relate, or perhaps it's just a personal issue of how I am perceiving things. Backstory: my wife is 46 and I am 48. We have been married for only about 5 years. When I first met her, she was the sweetest person, has a very angelic voice, great personality, amazing person overall, and she looked great. I should have probably questioned why she was still unwed at 40, but I too decided to marry late, so who was I to judge? Now I should have looked and carefully considered better. When dating, I gave her a lot of slack due to her mature and calm demeanor. Where else could I find such a lovely woman with a kind personality? Her kindness does not bleed into her everyday actions or even routine. She would text me a lot of good morning love, I love you, hope you have a great day, heart emojis, funny memes, etc. It was nice interacting with her. She had a lot to say, but they were mainly all neutral or positive stories. No red flags there. The red flags began when we moved in after marriage, and I was under the assumption that a 40-year-old woman knew how to take care of herself in the house, or at least do her part. She often would whine and complain in bed about things that could easily be fixed if she just got up to walk 5 steps and do it. But instead, I am treated like a butler and not a husband. She would continue to be very friendly and cordial to everyone, and so people love her. But I do not love living with her. I do not love her actions, or lack thereof. I don't mind helping around the house, of course. I have been doing it for 40-something odd years of my independent life, but when I come home from work I do want to continue working. Some other examples: she leaves the trash out constantly, never ever once takes anything out. I once left town for 3 days and came home to a house full of flies. Yes, I am not exaggerating. But she cheerfully ran up to hug and say sweet things, so I kind of dismissed it. Again, she is nice, but over the years it started to feel manipulative. I grew very confused, with a gnawing feeling in my chest and stomach. Why did the woman I marry irritate me so much? Why was living with her so unbearable? Because I do love talking to her and love the intimacy and everything in between. But how is living with a woman this amazing so miserable? Her inconsiderate actions have been confronted before. She does not change. She also leaves little small notes around the house asking me to fix this, do this, etc. Yet she does not work. She used to part-time. She does not cook. She only takes up space and air. This is what irks me the most. An adult grown woman, with no kids, cannot take care of the basic necessities herself. I also do not ask much of her. I do a load of laundry at least once a week so nothing piles up. I take care of garbage, shopping, errands, mortgage, cars, credit cards, all of it. I do not ask her to even cook me dinner. I'll bring home takeout most days. She seems utterly clueless about everything, even FedEx and UPS. She texts me the most basic questions asking where their address is. If only she had Google. However, again, she is a lovely, friendly person to me, my family, friends, etc. She is cheerful, doesn't nag often, is generally upbeat, has a cool personality, and when I hear stories of husbands dealing with nagging or bickering wives, I feel grateful for mine. At least in the moment. Am I being manipulated by my wife's sweet words? She says she loves me, but I really do not feel it through her everyday actions. On special occasions she would make something nice, but that's about 3 times a year. I just don't get it or know anymore. I feel like she is those fake two-faced people at work who is super fake nice to your face, but deep down they hate you. I feel like she hates me most days and punishes me more by leaving more trash out. On the outside she seems and looks like a perfect woman or wife, but nobody else has ever had to deal living with her.
See, this is why I stand by my belief that a couple should live together for at least 3 years before even considering getting married. Look man, she doesn't work, she doesn't maintain the household, so basically other than sex, if you're even getting that, she's basically useless to you. Well, now at least you know why she's still single at that age. She's basically a messy, spoiled child. Do you really need that in your life, OP? From how you described it, you'll be much better off single. And now for today's second story. Today I fucked up by cheating with my coworker and planning to run away together. posted by Reddit user Little Lonely Nomad.
Throwaway to protect identity. I work in international live events that take weeks to pull off. I typically coordinate them and work with a team to install and operate. I'm close with my coworkers, but we live across the world and fly into every event. I've met most of my coworkers in person, but this event we had someone new working sound, Clint. I'd seen him in Zoom calls, but we hadn't interfaced directly. This event was a big one for the company, big headliner and big partners with a lot of money being tossed around. I arrived at the install, got caught up to speed, met Clint, and got to work. One by one, my coworkers were sent off to other events. Clint and I were left to finish everything up, but bad weather and huge letdowns by one of our vendors had us in hot water. We started working 15 to 20-hour days to get everything done on time. After our long-haul days, Clint and I would hang out and blaze, legally. We had a lot in common, and were vibing like neither of us felt before. We were both married, unhappily. His wife had a bunch of medical problems and was really good at spending money and never leaving school. My husband had turned into an angry person, had built up a pile of debt, and was not putting anything into the relationship. It started out platonic, but things got extremely stressful and our sexual tension started building up. The lack of sleep, stress, and my lower tolerance for cannabis left me questioning everything about my life. We both felt like the other person was an extension of ourselves. We were kindred spirits. Slowly, Clint started making moves and suddenly dinners were turning into dates, and we were hanging out in each other's hotel rooms. We crossed many lines, but right as we crossed the final line, my brain kicked back in and we decided to take care of our lives before going further. Over the last few days of the event, Clint and I continued to be close. We made plans to leave our spouses, sell our houses, and travel together. We created a bucket list of places to go, things to do and see together. We even talked about eventually building a little cabin. Clint had planned on getting a tattoo dedicated to me when he returned home. At the end of the event, we went our separate ways and kept in touch virtually. Lots of sexting and unprofessionalism all around. We had agreed we wouldn't tell our partners about the affair as they each have mental health issues, but we planned to divorce and move on with our lives. After a few days at home, I talked with my husband and asked for a divorce. I told him I wanted to move away and start my life over. Clint talked to his wife, but things were messier. She was volatile, and her family made it difficult for Clint to outright leave her. Eventually, I noticed Clint was becoming distant. Still sexual, but not as emotionally available. He sent me pictures of his new tattoos, which were nothing like what he had said he was planning to me. Alarm bells were going off in my head, but I kept plodding along, planning mine and our escape. Clint went off to a series of anniversary-related dates with his wife, and kept leaving me on read. I asked him what was going on a number of times. Finally, after weeks of mixed signals, Clint told me he was having doubts. We video chatted during work, and he told me he owed it to his wife to try and make things work. Now I'm left to pick up the pieces of my life. Most of my friends are my coworkers, so I have no one to talk to about my heartbreak. I don't have the money to fix my problems at home or to leave and live alone in another country. There's no going back with my husband as I know it would be wrong, and I'm no longer interested in carrying the relationship. I'll see Clint again in a few weeks at another event, where we'll likely be left alone for hours at a time. But he plans to stay faithful to his wife, and we never even got to have the mind-blowing sex we talked about. TLDR, I fooled around with a coworker while traveling for work, got love bombed, made plans to move to another country together, told my husband I wanted a divorce, and got left with nothing but bad karma.
Well, OP, I'm glad that the claws of karma got you. The only thing missing now is for someone to report your affair to HR. I'll be honest, I don't believe for a single second that you two didn't fuck. Who are you trying to fool exactly? Two full-grown adults? Spending the night in a single room in a hotel? Seriously, you're just upset that you got pumped and dumped. I don't even believe that your husband doesn't contribute anything. You're just an ungrateful bitch, just like all cheaters. Viewer support is the best way for me to remain independent and continue bringing you these daily videos, which will always be here on my channels for you to watch absolutely free. So please consider subscribing to me on Rumble and on YouTube. Both will be linked in the description box down below. Thanks for listening, everyone. If you even somewhat enjoyed today's story, make sure to give this video a thumbs up, and if you really like it, consider subscribing to PattSun to never miss a future upload. Stay strong.